rigged, fixed, altered, skullduggery, and a lot more when it comes to the latest in our race for the president that long ago stopped being anything close to presidential. Hands up from all those who understand what happened this weekend in Colorado. Well, two of you? Look, it all comes down to wheezing and whining and wondering how any candidate could have come this far and not have the ground game necessary to defeat the Democrats, instead complaining about everybody else not playing by the rules when his own people have no clue about how to play the game. The international game of country spying on each other supposedly left the 1960s behind. It was all about cyber and computers. It would seem we are now back in the James Bond days, as the Chinese had a man on the military inside trading secrets for sex. And if Jordan Spieth had a chance to trade 1 hour of his life for something other than what happened, it would be his Sunday in Augusta. But the now dethroned Masters champ wins big when it comes to facing a crushing defeat. So let's tee it up. I'm Ed Berliner. This is The Hardline for Monday, April 11th, 2016.
We've got a corrupt system. It's not right. We're supposed to be a democracy. We're supposed to be, you vote and the vote means something. When I look at it and I see all these victories that I have, all these victories that he's got, and then you look at the establishment, and I want to tell you, it's a corrupt deal going on in this country, and it's not good.
Marilyn Monroe was a heck of a lot smarter than people gave her credit for. The bubble-headed blonde understood how to play the Hollywood game and used it to her advantage, once saying, quote, "If I'd observed all the rules, I'd never have gotten anywhere," unquote. The key to that statement is knowing what the rules are, understanding how the game is played within the rules, and then seeking the best way to make them work for you. If Marilyn Monroe could understand it, why then cannot Donald Trump and his campaign team? This leads us to what may now be known as the Colorado rules, a shaking of delegates this weekend, and what playing within presidential election rules really means. Let's get rolling with the respected political science lecturer from the University of Georgia who is about to make sense of it all, Josh Putnam. Professor, thanks so much for joining us because we got a lot to untangle here and only a few minutes to do it. In essence, what happened in Colorado? Is it just within the rules? It's always been that way? And if you say that there was a fix, a rig, you're just all wrong.
Well, I wouldn't say that a fix is in necessarily. Certainly the Republican National Committee, through its convention in 2012, made some changes to its rules. A lot of it was to eliminate some of the non-binding caucuses that the Ron Paul campaign was able to take advantage of in 2012. And in doing so, they eliminated the ability for a number of states to have unbound delegations heading into the convention. The problem was that we've got states like Colorado, North Dakota, Wyoming that have tried to circumvent that rules change in order to maintain some unbound delegates heading into the convention. And again, this is something that hasn't been widely reported and has certainly been misunderstood by not only the Trump campaign, but certainly others that are following the process.
I think what you just said there, let me stop you with that word. You said misunderstood, which I think is what a lot of people are basically glossing over here. Is it not fair to say that the rules are the rules, simply stated? This is what they're confusing as all get out, but they are still the rules that have been in place for some time.
Right. The RNC requires states to have submitted their rules to the national party by October 1st of the year prior to the presidential election. So we've known these rules since October 1 of 2015. It's been up to the campaigns to get to know them, understand them, and plan accordingly.
How then weird, unique, odd is what happened in Colorado? Because let's face it, American voters today and the people that we speak to, it seems like every time we talk about a primary, a caucus, a gathering, a secret clan somewhere just working in a back room, we're talking about all sorts of different rules.
Well, I mean, to simplify it, right? I mean, what Colorado's Republican Party did was just kind of eliminate a preference vote altogether in this. So all that voters in the state had a chance to vote on at precinct caucuses on March 1st was to select delegates to move on to the next step of the process. And that worked its way up to the district and state conventions this past weekend, where delegates who had filed to run as attached to one candidate or another or as uncommitted were elected. And as we saw, 30 of them were aligned with the Cruz campaign directly through that paperwork, and the remaining 4 were supportive, though they were uncommitted.
Here's a good question for those who don't understand it. And trust me when I tell you, it's even tough when you study this for a long time. Some people, Professor, will ask, well, why not just go ahead and do this as a majority rules? Why do we have to continue to change and everything seems to be different in other places? Is there any real simple logic behind that?
Well, I'm a big proponent of stable rules over time. With the exception of not having the preference vote, this is how things have run in the Colorado Republican Party for years now, at least since they dropped their presidential primary after the 2000 election cycle.
So as we move forward here, can we just say that the rules do matter? And if you're going to be a politician of any kind, especially at the presidential level, you have got to know these rules inside and out. You can't just wander in, throw your hat in the ring anymore and say, here, vote for me. It doesn't work that way.
Not necessarily. I mean, if we're talking about a cycle like 2000 where George W. Bush has a significant amount of support across the Republican Party, then you may not need to know the rules as well because you're winning by such wide margins. But in a cycle like 2016's, you've got a situation where things are very much contested. We're talking about an open or contested convention here, and in that situation, you really, really have to know the rules.
And if you don't know the rules, you're going to get caught sooner or later. And at that point, somebody will complain, somebody will file lawsuits. And guess what? We'll be right back here again. Welcome to the American political system. Josh Putnam, thanks so much for joining us and at least trying to put some explanation on this because Lord knows we need it and we're going to need a lot more. Thanks a lot.
You got it, Ed.